decisive moments.
Zimbabue, o último Homem Branco.
The culmination of our national struggle. Burning upon all of us, the people of Zimbabwe, whether we are black or white, full sovereignty, full democratic rights.
It's very intimidating when they come in at night and break into your house, and there's lots of them, and you don't know whether your house is going to be burnt down or not, or whether you're going to be beaten up or not, whether your children are going to be all right, whether they were threatening to rape my wife. At one stage they actually shouted, "We are going to eat your children."
A very fine birthday party. He invited everyone in Bluebell Wood. Belinda offered to make the cherries for the party.
We had friends being murdered. We had lots of our friends being beaten up, workers being murdered and beaten up, and there was just this incredible intimidation, and that started, right back in 2000, and it's just carried on till today. We are still hanging on by a little fingernail in our house, but we are unable to do anything more than just live here at this stage. Yeah, you live just from day to day, not knowing what's going to happen next.
Saka ibada kuti ndio arambidzi vanhu vakarugirira nyika yavo zvavo vainetsa ndo mune mari imomo muvhu waiwo mabritish nevamerika ida kudzokera muvhu imomo. That's the question ndifuna kuzikanwa navanhu vese kuti vanombodeiwe imomo kana musina chakanaka vanodei. So that she needs it. Akawandisa varungu vari vanga vaneka padhuze pamupanga pana mumwe murungu ainzi Hutu anga akatonyora pafambu pake pagedhe welcome to Rhodesia. Up to now anga achiti welcome to Rhodesia. Kana tofunga kuti pa 1980 Rhodesia yapera akati welcome to Rhodesia hapasisina welcome to Rhodesia. Rhodesia yakaenda pane Zimbabwe manje ndio chakabvisirwa asi munhu airima steering.
Here we go. Yeah. In complete control in Rhodesia today. We,
the European. We are all South. We have the reins in our hands, and we can pretty well do what we like.
The point is, the average African doesn't know what a vote is. He can't eat it, he can't sleep with it, and he can't spend it, so he's not interested.
When the white man came to this country, they didn't know anything else but grass huts and grass fires. The majority of them couldn't make a wheel.
We are in complete control in Rhodesia's land. We, the Europeans, we are all South. We have the reins in our hands, and we can pretty well do what we like.
Quando o britânico Rhodes fundou a nova colónia abastada do Reino Unido em África, batizou-a inspirando-se no seu nome. Chamou-lhe Rodésia. A Rodésia permaneceu nas mãos dos colonialistas britânicos durante cerca de um século, de 1890 a 1980.
Sir, are you a Rhodesian?
Yes, I'm a Rhodesian, born and bred. If there's anybody here in this country that should know these black people, it's me. I've been brought up in this country. I've worked with these guys my whole life. I know what they want. I know, for instance, that they respect the tough man. They like the man with a strong arm. That's what they like. They don't want too much of this freedom. Does them no good.
Os novos proprietários brancos ficaram com os melhores terrenos. Nas suas vastas propriedades, os negros trabalhavam por um pedaço de pão.
That's how land got to be in the hands of the whites. So it was actually a colonial racist approach to get land given to the whites. Then went from generation to generation. So if you acquired, your forefather acquired land, then they'll give it to their own son, and so on and so forth. That's what happened. And I think by 1915, 1920, most land in the country was already in the hands of the whites at the time.
Em 1966, a população negra insurgiu-se contra os colonialistas brancos. O presidente do país, Robert Mugabe, é uma figura proeminente entre os rebeldes. A revolta destinava-se a criar uma sociedade progressista e multirracial livre da opressão. Foram precisos 14 anos de guerra para que o objetivo fosse alcançado. Nasceu um novo país chamado Zimbabue, ao qual brancos e negros chamariam seu lar.
We fought each other. That is history. Let this be a good start to our future together.
This is a great moment. It's a moment of our victory, the culmination of our national struggle, conferring upon all of us, the people of Zimbabwe, whether we are black or white, full sovereignty, full democratic rights. We will ensure that there is a place for everybody in this country. Zimbabwe in the office of Minister of the Government. So help me God.
Desde que Mugabe subiu ao poder, nunca mais o deixou. Aos 85 anos de idade, tem a liderança mais duradoura em África.
chatisikadi isusu war veterans inyika yedu kuti iende yakatirwadza nyika iyi wazwa chamwana nyika yakatirwadza. It's not a joke to spend 10 years or more without seeing your mother or your wife. Uchifamba muminzwa vanhu vechifa vachiona vamwe chidambuke makumbuhura wese uchibuda. Then you are talking about the British again in this country. For what reason? It doesn't mean anything. People should think twice on that one. Kuti vakomana vakatambudzika papi.
Yeah, well, this farm is 1,200 hectares, which is a reasonable size farm for this kind of climate. We've got about 40,000 trees. Then you've got the oranges, which you can see far in the distance over there. This side of the oranges you can see maize and sunflowers.
Ben Fries é cidadão do Zimbábue. Nasceu e cresceu aqui. Ele não herdou estas terras. Foram compradas pelo sogro em 1977, quando veio da África do Sul para a Rodésia. Hoje, o Sr. Fries tem medo de andar pela sua quinta. Já há muitos que a reclamam como sua.
Farmers only have one chance at an income in the year, and that's harvest time. And of course, these guys came at harvest time. They've reaped all our mangoes. They've reaped all our oranges. They've reaped all our maize. We haven't reaped one single maize cob, one single orange, one single mango since they arrived, in April.
Os 150 trabalhadores escondem-se receosos nas suas casas dentro da quinta. Ninguém trabalha nos campos.
It's the last month when they came here, they were saying, "Hey, all the workers, you must go away. We don't want to see you because you are the tribal causer, because you work to the white people. You support the white people. So you must get off. We don't want to see you here, working here."
São considerados traidores por trabalharem para os brancos. Podem ser espancados ou até mortos.
It's very difficult because, to work to them, you can work, but they can't pay you whatever you want. And even to help you, they don't have to help you. You just work maybe 8 months without pay. So it's very difficult.
How much money do you get paid here?
Yeah, it's $25 US.
Per month?
Per month. So, it doesn't do whatever I like in my life because it's too little money.
I know. I'm going to be O Sr. Fries, Laura e os seus 2 filhos fecharam-se dentro da propriedade. Recusam-se obstinadamente a partir, embora a situação se tenha tornado perigosa nos últimos meses.
Now maybe tonight they will come and create absolute havoc, and we don't know what is going to happen next,
Oh man! Ouch! Now it's your kick.
Foi numa noite tranquila como esta, em junho de 2008, que o telefone tocou. Horrorizado, o Sr. Fries ouviu o sogro que vive no interior da propriedade pedir ajuda. Estava a ser atacado. Ben pegou no carro e foi ajudá-lo.
Their rifles at me as I was driving towards them. I immediately ducked down underneath the windscreen. of my car and put the car quickly into reverse, turned around and was just heading out when from my blind spot behind me a big rock came smashing through my side window, smashed the window, and then the big rock hit my head. But they then dragged me out of the vehicle and took my jersey off, tied me up with ropes, started beating me with rifle butt over my head and back and everything. And then they dragged me over to where my parents-in-law were lying by the garage. They were all tied up and bleeding and looking in a terrible state. And they tied me up there as well. And I can just remember seeing all their possessions just coming out of the house as I was lying there. I was just watching all their possessions just coming out of the house. We were taken to Gilbert Moyle's base out at Pixton, which is about 50 kilometres away from here, and dumped on the ground, and they started beating us again, and well, they were abusing us for being white farmers, and saying that we had no place to be in Zimbabwe as people that didn't have black-coloured skins. They had a sjambok, a hippo hide whip, and they were just with both hands. They were just coming down on my feet, with all their power. And I can just remember crying out with each time they hit the bottom of my feet. I just remember crying out, "Jesus!" and then the next one, "Jesus!" and it was incredible pain. And then they started waving weapons around myself and my father-in-law. And my mother-in-law was just praying that they wouldn't shoot us. In fact, she was saying, "Please shoot me rather than them." And then we were taken off again, and we thought we were probably going to our graves. And eventually they climbed into the back where we were lying, and they untied us, and then they lifted us out of the vehicle and just left us on the road, and we had no idea, obviously, where we were. I managed to get up. Unfortunately, my father-in-law and mother-in-law couldn't get up, but I managed to get up and get to a house and borrowed a phone and managed to phone the family and get some help to come down to pick us up.
Robert Mugabe, o herói da independência para muitos, completou 29 anos ao comando do seu país em 2009. No início afastou os adversários políticos, depois reduziu a fome e a mortalidade infantil. A economia, a educação e saúde mostraram grandes melhorias. Tudo estava em movimento. Mugabe tornou-se um dos líderes africanos mais respeitados e o Zimbábue o exemplo de um país renascido após o colonialismo. Este é o Zimbábue atual. Ódio, violência, opressão e pobreza extrema. Em 2000, precipitou-se o caos. Mugabe convocou um referendo para mudar a Constituição, que estava em vigor desde a libertação do país 20 anos antes. A Constituição proposta reforçava os poderes presidenciais e permitia que o Estado confiscasse as quintas de pessoas brancas sem qualquer compensação.
Well, I think that Mugabe effectively didn't want to change the constitution. He wanted to cheat the people into believing that there was now a change. There was a lot of push for a new constitution. So to stem that tide for a new constitution, they decided that they would pretend that they have a new constitution, so that they stop the demand for a new constitution. It was something that still, in a different way, retained the powers of Mugabe.
O partido de Mugabe, o ZANU-PF, tornou-se o único partido no país após a independência. Todas as tentativas de oposição falharam.
My opinion is that the people are going to vote yes, by and large, and that they will support, therefore, the draft constitution.
Porém, desta vez, Mugabe estava enganado. Os jovens, sobretudo das cidades, que não tinham vivido a revolução e estavam fartos do autoritarismo do presidente, reuniram-se em torno de um partido que emergiu pouco depois do referendo, o MDC, Movimento para a Mudança Democrática. O seu líder era Morgan Tsvangirai.
It is an unfinished national agenda. Tiri kudaiza pano kuti enough of corruption. Tiri kudaiza pano tichiti enough of brutality and abuse of Zimbabwe. Tiri kudaiza pano tichiti enough of poverty. Tiri kudaiza pano tichiti enough of ZANU-PF.
Mugabe perdeu o referendo. Foi um choque total. Nunca tinha perdido quaisquer eleições. Preocupado com a vitória nas eleições nacionais dali a 3 meses, ele recordou os antigos camaradas. 50.000 veteranos de guerra que caíram no esquecimento após a independência.
He had made promises over many years. He wanted to win elections. And the only way politicians can ever win elections is to give stuff away or promise people things. And that's what Robert Mugabe was doing. I promised to give you land. And towards the end of the 90s, people began to say, we are tired of waiting for you to fulfill your promises. When are we going to get our land?
Agora, o momento chegara. Mugabe apontou os inimigos.
A vote for the MDC is a vote for the British to have, once again, not just a foothold here, but real power. We cannot allow the British once again to dominate us here through their puppets.
Depois lançou os veteranos contra os seus inimigos para que recuperassem a terra que lhes pertencia. A terra que os britânicos tinham roubado no século XIX.
Present state of mind is that you are now our enemies because you really have behaved as enemies of Zimbabwe. That we are full of anger, and our entire community is angry, and this is why you have the war veterans now, seizing land.
I have no leave
legal instrument to allow you people to take the land. I cannot give you that.
No, we are taking it.
But I am not giving you permission. That is up to you.
People could occupy land as they wished and so on, which the government then called was a revolution. But it was really you getting to a farm, you grab a farm with a group of people, and then you say, no, this is now part of the land, and the government was approving that kind of lawless acquisition of land. That's where we are.
Nico, we defeated Smith in the bush where he was the source. We are going to defeat you.
Currently, the method that is there is you have to be a supporter of the ruling party, you have to be a member of ZANU-PF, you have to support the president and his people to get land, and then your first right to land is if you just simply decide which patch of land you want. If you can use your power of your force to go and just occupy a piece of land or use completely unlawful means to evict a current farmer, you may actually end up being entitled to that piece of land. So might is right under the current circumstances. So most of the people who occupy farms now, these are supporters of the ruling party.
I just want to video you guys just taking my stuff out of there. Huh? No. Here we go. Yeah. Murowe, kana noda kurowa nini murowe. Yeah. Design. Mira ndiwe nemfuti.
Papa makapinda muminda kuti muchitora mafamu. It was an era yakanga yaitwa neMDC 2000. A very big era. Anda mabumbiro mutemo rakugadzirwa kutirori. Takati vanhu ngatitore munda yedu. Naika vanhu vakati no. Azviti tikati yes. Mokoti no nhasi. Saka takaenderei kuhondo. No tikati ho. No chiita ino henyu. Ite chitango zvedu.
Shama, let lawyer vakatanga kutora munda loya akabva kupi
ipi
iloyi lendo akaitenga kupi
aiwa shama musataura yakadaro
tasatore kamera shama chatisiri kuda chikamera
inda muri kurambidza chi.
The media has not highlighted the fact that there are many black Zimbabweans who've been dispossessed of their farms after they bought them. I've handled my partner in the law firm. His farms were taken when this started in 2001, and they gave it to a man who had just become the member of parliament for that area in Zimbabwe, who was completely clueless with regards farming.
Mr. Kunonga, take your people out the yard, please, Mr. Kunonga.
Yes,
what have you got to say, Mr. Kunonga? On the camera, Mr. Kunonga. What have you got to say, sir? Come on. Is this the way to do it, Mr. Kunonga? Huh? Talk. You're on the camera, Mr. Kunonga. Taura Tinswe. Is this what you're trying to do? Bring violence? Whoa, it's a noise. It's a noise. Huh? Come on, Kunonga Taura. Gabude. Out, guys. Out. Otherwise, we'll call the whole compound here. Out, Mr. Kunonga. Out.
It has been portrayed as a racial issue, but actually it's a question of who wants your property. It's a question of how powerful you are and what you want, really. That's what it is. I mean, if you look at who gets settled on the farms? It's not the needy peasants who get settled on those farms. We know that. That's a fact.
It's not allowed by law. It's not allowed by law.
This is not allowed.
Let's look now after the land reform. How much land is in the hands of a few top black Zimbabweans? Because the idea, at least from what I think was being said, was that you take the land from a few whites and then you spread it amongst a lot of Zimbabweans, black Zimbabweans in particular. But we've had a situation where the prime land is taken from a few whites and it goes into the hands of a few blacks. You don't substitute one huge landowner who's white with one huge landowner who's black, while the peasants remain exactly where they were before 2000.
Mugabe venceu as eleições em 2000, com os votos dos agricultores que esperavam uma distribuição justa da terra.
Certainly what we're seeing today, we would contend is not a land reform at all. What we've seen over the last 9 years is a very vicious political program for the survival of ZANU-PF and Mugabe. It has nothing to do with land reform.
I believe that every Zimbabwean, regardless of color, is entitled to have land. That land must be given in a transparent process which ensures that everybody gets a fair share.
This Zimbabwe is for black people, not for white.
Okay. Ya ukupaiwa pasao.
Uzaiba.
Tola vanhu vakamira hapo. So ndio mgano womunda wangu.
Okay.
Iyo unodzika kuzasi uko. Too small.
Mune how many hectares?
It's almost about 100 hectares.
Okay.
Inini handiti zvokuba zvokuti pandakapuwa ipopo ndo pandinoimba napo. This is my own farm. Makarowa kusika uko.
Pakati pana pachete kuti tunosvika kumba.
Asi apa pasati parowa.
Tiri kudzoka ndima tiri kutofamba nayo iyoyo.
Oho. Asi muri kutarira pasi era?
Apa tiri kutarira.
Yeah, please. Nokuti hey. Kore nokune nzara.
Nzara tinoiziva.
Mwari kune nzara kwayo.
Saka pamakatora rinei, pamakapiwa rinei, murungu wacho haana aunetsewo.
He was my friend. Murungu aiva napa ndasaka kuti abve pana. But azobviswawo. Tainzwanana zvokuti tu. I left with no option kuti ndaipadawo pane mvura, pane chi, but we find kuti handina kana kumenda kumba kwake kundogara mudzimba. Inini I was fighting for land. Handitika. Saka ndakatora chi. Ndakatora chi ivhu. Ava ndorwire dzimba dzevarungu. Vamwewo. Inina chandaida muno ndicho chicho kurima.
A reforma agrária levada a cabo deu o golpe de misericórdia na economia do país, pois as grandes empresas agrícolas que produziam toneladas de alimentos pararam de trabalhar.
I look to my neighbours all around. There is no wheat. There's no wheat. You know, we've got a capacity to grow 400,000 tonnes of wheat. We will be lucky this year if we grow 10,000 tonnes of wheat from 400,000 tonnes.
One of the things that's not widely understood about Zimbabwe is the fact that agriculture is the backbone of the economy. We're a totally agriculturally based economy, unlike South Africa, which is mining. So land and how land reform is conducted is doubly important in a country like Zimbabwe.
We have had to import food, which we cannot easily pay for because we're not making the foreign currency through exports that we used to make. Our biggest exports were from agriculture, and they are not there any longer. We had the most developed country in Africa, apart from South Africa, until land reform. Now we've been overtaken by most of the countries in the region.
Takangoonawo kuti upenyu hwacho hwakungotanga kutiomera, tikaenda nemari yacho kumagirosa ichatengi konzi haisina basa. Kunyange yavanga vatambira kubasa, takatoenda kukindomu yatanga taisa kosikanzi haisina basa, hapana zvainoshanda. Saka kubva nguva iyoyo zvakangotiomera.
The money, the Zimbabwe dollar, was losing half its value every day. So prices were doubling every day. And at that rate, you don't want to hold those dollars for long. If you've got them by tomorrow, you've already lost half your money. So change them into something else as fast as you can.
Mudzimba hatichisina mvura yekugoja, hatinayo washeni, hatichisina zvekushandisa zvinokosha sekubika nemvura yakachena. Ikabuda mupombi yacho iri green, ine mahwada pasi.
O colapso da economia agravou o clima de agitação social. Mais pessoas saíram à rua para apoiar a oposição. No entanto, todas as vozes de protesto foram violentamente reprimidas. As autoridades e os membros do ZANU-PF, o partido de Mugabe, deixaram bem claro que ninguém questionaria a autoridade do presidente.
Belongs to 12 million people, not 50,000 war veterans. This is our country. If Mugabe's time to go comes, he will definitely go. We'll make him go. If he wants a war, we'll leave our offices and go to war.
Yes, yes.
It's fear right across the board. I mean, starting from the bottom right up to the courts, and there are times when you know that the judge is as frightened as the accused person is, and that makes it extremely difficult to practice law in the country.
Actually, that's the way people live here. You would be sure that they will come here, get you arrested, and so on. They can come and pick you from the office.
Os alvos eram ativistas dos direitos humanos e membros da oposição. Até Morgan Tsvangirai, líder do MDC, foi espancado em público juntamente com outras pessoas e depois detido e encarcerado. Foi neste clima que as eleições presidenciais foram convocadas em março de 2008. Os principais candidatos eram, mais uma vez, Robert Mugabe e Morgan Tsvangirai. Os resultados demoraram cerca de um mês a ser divulgados. Quando finalmente foram anunciados, Mugabe tinha perdido as eleições, mas o seu adversário não tinha alcançado a maioria necessária.
So then that justified a run of a second election between Mugabe and Tsvangirai and so on. And to relate to that second election, there was a massive violence in the country, people being killed, people being tortured, homes being burnt and so on. To the extent that by the time we reached the day of the election, Tsvangirai himself couldn't even stand.
You know, it was amazing. At our local polling booth here on Balcruza Farm, the next door farm, which is 600 meters away, there wasn't a single vote for the opposition by the time it came to the June election.
Zvakaitika nokuti pakavhotwa pakamarelection ekuvhota saka zvanzi ndimi makavhotera chi makavhotera MDC makabuda 128 achinzi ndivavhotera MDC Monday takarara ndopakazotanga kukanda futi matombo akomana wacho
muvhindidzi ungatonga nyika here iwe unogona kuitonga nyika shit satan nomawedzi andakanzwa bedziva
vakandorova mwana wokwachibotso unonzi Peter vanogara meminda vaitorova vacho ndeveminda
vana venge vasisadzidze zvakakwana kugeza chaiko tenge tichigeza nemvura isina kana sipo kushaya nechigayo chaicho chekuti unoenda unogaisa zvigayo zvichinzi hazvina kana dhiziri asi zvinhu zvaimbowanika kare upenyu hwacho hwenge hwangooma kuti chero uri kumusha mogotoona kuti ende muri kusafa zvitori nani kuti timbochinjawo hurumende tiise imwe tone machenjisi ezvinhu muZimbabwe.
ini ndikokurwa kwana handikuzivi inini as a war veteran, as vice chairman war veterans handikuzivi asi what I know, people were playing a game. It was a game between Dynamos and Caps United. Kana munhu ariperi bhora pale pasina vanhu vambotsikana. It's obvious. Saka it's a game.
Este jogo custou a vida a 200 pessoas. 50 mil foram raptadas e cerca de 200 mil foram expulsas das suas casas. Para aplacar os protestos generalizados, o presidente Mugabe ofereceu um lugar no poder ao seu inimigo irreconciliável. Apesar de ter sido preso e torturado, este aceitou o cargo de primeiro-ministro no novo governo do presidente Mugabe.
Well, what led me to us participating in this government was none other than the plight of Zimbabweans. We had reached such a point that a lot of Zimbabweans were only involved in the struggle for survival. The situation was so desperate, And we could see that idealism was not going to be the fortitude. So we decided to participate in order to rescue the country. Well, the relationship at a personal level, I think one would say that it's a workable relationship. We're a working relationship as President and Prime Minister. It is difficult. So was Nelson Mandela when he entered into agreement with the very same people who had arrested him for 27 years. Challenge is, so is Poland. The Solidarists and the Communists cohabited for a while, not because it was ideal, but it was a transitional process to ensure that the crisis that the country is facing is managed, is co-managed. In the world, there are so many instances where you can point out two very antagonists sitting down to say what is the best interest for the country.
I disagree very much with that decision. I think that he should have pursued the leadership of a struggle. That was very clear. The struggle wanted a completely different kind of Zimbabwe. And that is what our struggle was all about. That's what Morgan Tsvangirai represented. So there was no point in him saying, okay, I have to share power with this old order, because the old order has not changed. And so I think he was now understanding power in a different context. So we don't agree. I don't agree with that approach.
It is an unfinished national agenda. Tiri kudaidza pano kuti enough of corruption. Tiri kudaidza pano tichiti enough.
The people who've taken my parents' house have been trying to get us out of our house. They came a few times. I mean, the one night they came, they ploughed up our drive. They came in with a tractor and were ploughing up the drive. And that was quite threatening, you know.
It was a very, very kind of frightening experience, seeing all these different people just bursting through and not knowing what was going to happen next after that.
They left after a couple of hours and shouting abuse at us and saying, you know, that we had to be out by the morning.
Kowedu akaenda kunana Europe wakanyimwa mavisa. Aisi mposa hiyo. Togara yedu somunyika medu matinyima mavisa, tutashata futi. Iwano ushata wachete nukuti itawarambitsa. Asi wano uyo munyika medu. Uchigara zvakanaka uchirye sadza munana mikoro zvakanaka muvhura takawaka nevanhu vatema. So what is the problem? Tiri vana vepana vamunda vana. naMwari wedu ndo maari. Hatibvi tinofira minda yedu. Inokonzeresa vanhu kurwai. Not only kurwai zvibhakera hondo chaidze inobuda nenyaya yeminda iyoyi. That is the truth. It must be known by Tsvangirai and other people who want to rule this country.
We gotta thank him for appetite. Amen. 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 Without our faith, there's no way that we would still be here. You know, God has a purpose, and yeah, we need to try and stay in His will and do what it is that He intends us to do in this situation. Yeah. You know, you go through days where you actually do feel quite hopeless, and you feel a sort of despair, a black mood. Things will never change, they will just carry on getting worse. But then you go through other days and you think, no, in the end, good will always prevail.
Locução: Alberto Ramos. Dialectos.